All right, welcome back. So let's deal with the second exercise in Module 1. And we're going to continue this refresh, get ready with Python. So in the last one, we dealt with inputs, outputs, and processing of floating decimal points. We're going to deal with floating decimal point again. We're going to provide a calculation for overtime. We've got hourly wage, regular hours, total overtime, and then it's going to calculate the employee's totally weekly pay. So we're going to have three values that we're going to have to deal with. So let's start out with, we need to get the values from the user. So let's say we're going to request the inputs. How are we going to request them? Well, I want those three values. So let's go ahead and we're going to say we're going to get wage. We're going to get regular overtime hours. And then let's get overtime hours is going to be another input. All right. So for wage, we're going to typecast it to be a float, and we're going to get the input under the wage. We're going to do the same thing with regular hours, typecast it to a float, and give them the traditional prompt. We'll do the same thing pretty much for overtime hours. So here we've acquired all the inputs. Let's perform our calculation. And the calculation is going to be, and they kind of told us here, an employee's total weekly pay. So total weekly pay, let's call it total pay. And we can call it whatever I want, because if they're going to look for a specific value in a specific variable, they will give you, or they will define that variable name that they're going to test for. So total pay is going to equal hourly wage multiplied by total number of regular hours plus any overtime pay. So it's regular hours times wage plus overtime hours times wage times 1.5. Only thing I've got left is going to be displaying the output. Now let's look down here. Enter the wage, $30. Well, that's the prompt. Here's a prompt. Here's a prompt. The only thing I've got to deal with is this statement now. So we'll go ahead, I'll put a comment to explain what I'm doing in this block, and we'll do a print statement. And the print statement's going to be the total weekly pay is, and I'm just going to put a $sign in there. I'm not going to format that as money. I'm just going to put the $sign in there, and then I'm going to take what I have in here as the calculation, rounded total pay. That's what we had our calculation there. Pass that and the number of decimal precision points to the round function. That's built in. I don't even have to import math to have that. From there, we will typecast that to become a string. So I took the value and how many precision points I want, passed it to the round function, then I passed the results of that, which is a 2 decimal point value, passed that to string, or the string function, which will typecast it to become a string, and this plus concatenates it. Now, there's other ways that could have gone about that. There's a number of different ways that could have gone about that. But this one's just, we're concatenating. We'll take things one step at a time as we're going through this refresh. I could have passed more than one value like we did in the last video with a comma. That would have put a space in here. This doesn't. So let's go ahead and run it. And the values that they did were 30, 40, and 5. Looks about right. Now wait a minute. 2 decimal points. I know. We didn't have anything, so it dropped off that second 0. Let's come look at what it tests for. We'll go ahead and run the tests. See if it's happy. It is happy with it. What did they test for? Let's do it at 12. $40 and 5. We're still there with kind of funny numbers. We'll do it again with the other one. 2, 10, and 2. Let's do it and see. 1232. 43. Oh, it should have been 40 hours. 5. See how it stretched it out there? Even though whatever the regular and overtime is convoluted, it's not actual business practices how I came up with those numbers. But I was more focused on showing that it would stretch out to 2 decimal points in the display if it had something beyond zeros. And the examples that they're testing for are just zeros. This last one, input a 0, do we get all zeros? So it was pretty straightforward. It's not overly complicated. Things that we just done previously. Understanding the calculation. This is going to be the kind of thing that we're really going to focus on in this class. Being able to get through the calculation and the logic on things. This is easy peasy aside from if you weren't familiar with the round function and how this all works and that we're concatenating. I compare this to, for those that have had me in other classes, coupling train cars together. Here's what's in one train car, here's what's in another one. I just joined them together to make one long train or one string that's combined. Okay. So that's that for number 2 exercise in module 1. See you in the next one.